votes, and so we're going to recognize Representative Salazar.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to the witnesses. My name is Maria Salazar. I'm the chairman of the Western Hemisphere Committee, subcommittee here in the House Foreign Affairs Committee, and I am very distraught because some of the programs that we have been talking about come from the region that I represent. Many people in South Florida that come from those countries of origin: Guatemala, Venezuela, and Peru. So I understand, Mr. Ignatios, that you do not agree with the way that Elon Musk has conducted his investigation into USAID. But I do believe, coming from the world of television, that you are judged by the results, not by the process. And Musk has discovered things that are completely and absolutely embarrassing. And in my, specifically in the region that I'm saying that I'm representing a lot of constituents. So I want to salute you because you said that you did the job, you were the administrator, that you went line by line, that you were cleaning up the different programs, that you took your job very seriously. But apparently we are in different times. And I'm just going to share with you within the time that I have 3 programs coming from Latin America, which I think that are highly embarrassing. Let's start with Venezuela. And here's the video that Chairman played before. Venezuelans, they're fleeing Marxism. They're hungry. The average Venezuelan weighs 15 pounds less because of lack of food. We know that Chavez has destroyed the country. They make it to Ecuador. They're tired. And then they encounter that the United States, which is the beacon of hope, is offering this program to become a drag queen. So I think there's something wrong with that picture. And I'm not sure if we can play it again, but I just wanted your opinion.
Well, that particular program was a State Department program. And I have great respect for the State Department, but I think it's appalling they did it, to be very frank with you.
So you do not agree with those $35,000
No,
invested?
I don't. I think we should stick with our basic mission.
Okay, well, but you agree that they have not. Not under you.
Oh,
but
no, they have not.
They have not.
And
okay,
I think that needs to be
I just
changed.
want to hear your thoughts because, unfortunately, time
just one
is of
comment,
the essence. $2 million for Native Indians in Guatemala. President Giammattei called me. I've never had a president from a country saying, I don't want the United States money. Highly conservative. These are the Native Indians in Guatemala, people who are just, flipping the tortillas and they just want to learn how to do a job, not sex change surgeries. What do you think about that?
That's beyond what this AID mission is. I don't think
Good.
we should be.
That's all we need to know. Peru, in the Amazon. This is the jungle. This is not Jeff Bezos' Amazon. This is like where people have harsh conditions. They need mosquito nets to fight malaria. So $25,000 for diversity recruitment events. What is a diversity recruitment event in the middle of the jungle?
I have no idea. Congressman, just one comment. You can move aid to do what you want by hiring a development professional, a conservative, who knows how to manage a large, complex operation. Mark Green was such a person, under Trump.
But then what happened between your time and this time? Tell me. What happened?
Well, politics gets involved.
Oh, politics. But then Elon Musk comes and tries to clean politics and go back to the original mission of the program. Is that correct?
I think it would be useful if Musk and some of his staff would go to the field and see the projects.
Well, I think they would take a different view. I'm sure they don't have time, sir, to do that. But what I'm saying is that he did something that, according to what you just explained, it brings benefit to the USAID programs.
The USAID staff do what the political appointees tell them to do.
Well, okay.
They don't initiate these things.
They don't.
No.
So that means that all these directives came from the White House.
The White House, yes, and the State Department.
So that, okay, but then the White House, the State Department responds to the White House. So you are telling me that under the Biden administration, the USAID lost its course, yes or no?
I think AID needs to be more independent of the political wars in Washington.
You just told me that the State Department is the one that directs that. Okay, and the State Department responds to the White House.
That's correct.
All right, so that means then that the White House gave the wrong directives to USAID.
In my view.
In your view. Good.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, that's all we needed to know. So now we have a new sheriff in town called Donald Trump, and then that guy brought another guy called Elon Musk to do the job, something that no one else has done before. So why do we need to criticize him?
Because he doesn't know anything about development. He may be a genius at technology. He does not know anything about development.
But wait. Development has nothing to do with what is the mission statement for USAID? Secure, prosper, and value American values. Either $2 million for the native Indians in Guatemala to change their sex surgeries has nothing to do with that.
$15 billion was spent on humanitarian assistance in emergencies and refugee camps. There's particular skills you learn in doing that. I did that.
I understand,
I know
but
what
you're
is.
talking about what works. I'm talking about what does not work.
Okay.
Gentlelady's time
Thank
has
you.
expired.
I appreciate, Chairman. Thank you, sir, for your time.
I would also let you know, Ms. Salazar, that I've had numerous calls from ambassadors during the Biden administration who intend to provide us with the reprimands that they wrote against career employees who were undermining their work, doing these programs that they didn't want, but did them anyways, and the administration didn't care. And we look forward to bringing those things to light as well. We are going to recess. As votes have been called, as I mentioned, we are going to recess until 10:50, and we will look forward to returning.
There. Thank you to all of you, and thank you to the First Lady of the United States, to Senator Cruz, for having taken up this cause. The force, as Senator said, the force of your presence, Madam, is not only going to save children's lives, but will also make this legislation the law of the land. I have no doubt that the House of Representatives will make this law a priority, as I have spoken to the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. So thank you for making our jobs as legislators a lot more effective. As the Senator said, the name of the legislation that we're presenting is called the Take It Down Act. Its mission is very simple. It's profound and long-lasting. It stops cyber abuse. It prevents bullying one child against another. Even more important, is going to prevent suicide out of shame. It is outrageously sick to use the images, the face, the voice, the likeness of a young, vulnerable female to manipulate them, to extort them, to humiliate them publicly just for revenge or just for fun. That is why we created this bill, and it's going to stop the abuse throughout social media. It is widely known that 99% of the time, the victim, most of them girls, don't even know that their faces, their bodies, their intimate parts are being circulated around the internet in fake, compromising pornographic images. But perception is reality, unfortunately. And even though these images do not belong to them, they are paying the price dearly. So they see it, they live it, they have to suffer it, and they don't have any recourse, as the Senator said, up until today, up until now. Our bill, the Take It Down Act, finally is sending a very big message to big tech that they have to bring down these images, fake images, within 48 hours. No more time than that, no more excuses. If not, big tech then will be just as guilty as the aggressors. Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok will have to comply within 48 hours when the victim demands that they take down those pornographic images. Now our messages to the bullies, to the perverts, to the predators. If you dare to do this to another innocent child, you are going to go to prison. You will serve jail time. That will be a great place where you can sit and ponder what you did and be consumed by your conscience. Up until now, the parents of victims found that the schools, they couldn't do anything. The police couldn't do anything. Nothing. Big tech couldn't do anything, according to them. No more. This legislation has taken the power away from the aggressors and the accomplices and have given it back to the victims and their parents. What a great honor for me to be part of this initiative. Thank you very much, and thank you, Madam, for making this a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Salazar, for your friendship.
Thank you. And I agree with my colleagues, bipartisan coalition that we have here, that this is one of the most important topics that we are facing as lawmakers. We are proud Republicans, and we do know, and I agree with Newhouse, that this is the moment to fix the immigration system that has been broken for the last 40 years. For everybody. For the families, for the agriculturals, for construction, for hospitality, for the average American. President Trump promised that he was going to seal the border. He did. That he was going to deport Tren de Aragua. He's doing it. That he was going to do away with the gangs, MS-13. He was going to send them back to El Salvador. And that is happening as we speak. So we applaud that because no one wanted an open border. No one wanted 4 years of open borders with 10 million people, many of them Tren de Aragua, many of them child sex traffickers, bringing kids from Central and South America. We don't know where they are and we need to find them. So the problem was immense, but this administration fixed it in 40 days. As Newhouse said, our country has been built on immigrants. My parents, I'm first generation Cuban American, others are Greek Americans, others are Italian. It doesn't matter. We all come from somewhere. And right now, as statistics indicate, we have from 10 to 12 million people who are immigrants. Many of them sound and look like me, Hispanics from Central and South America, who have been here for more than 5 years. They are not the people who just arrived through the border 4 years ago, who have been the silent heroes. They have been doing in silence, day after day, the work that is needed for our economy to grow, in agricultural, in construction, in hospitality. These people do not have a criminal record. Many of them have American children. Many of them have been paying taxes year after year, knowing that they're not going to get that money back. But nonetheless, they're here because they love the American dream. And they have helped us to have food by Friday, as Newhouse said, to have new homes for the workforce, and to be able to go to nice hotels and pay a cheap price. So, it's time to do something revolutionary and give them a dignified life in the promised land. And that is the name of my bill. 4 years ago, we introduced it. You were none of the House. He was one of those who accompanied me on this trek. But now is the moment to bring dignity back. And that is what we're doing here. The Dignity Act of 2025. We're about to introduce it. It's going to be revolutionary. Why? Because it's going to be Solomonic. It's going to be in the middle. We're going to cut the baby in two. And we are going to satisfy those people in the agricultural, in the hospitality, in the construction, the political sector, the Republicans and the Democrats. It's not perfect, but it's the art of the possible. And we are going to be able to fix once and for all 40 years of a broken system, the immigration system. This is what all have been working on for 4 years, and I do believe that the Trump administration will be the one fixing the problem. Trump is not going to be the guy who's fixed the problem in Israel, or with the Houthis, or with Ukraine and Russia. He will also be the guy who will give us internally a solid and sound immigration system. The Dignity Act caters or cares about those 10 to 15 million people who have American children, who have been paying taxes, who do not have a criminal record, and who have put food on the table year after year, or built the homes, or helped the hospitality industry, and they have helped growth. They have brought growth to our economy. We will not be able to continue being the #1 economy in the world if we do not have hands. And those hands are inside. I'm not talking about those people who came in through, I'm not talking about those who are coming in. I'm talking about the ones who are here. And they have roots, and we all know them, and we love them, because most of them have not committed a crime. So I thank you. As Newhouse said, we need all of you. We need all of you in the immigration space to call our fellow congressmen and congresswomen on this Republican side, on the Democratic side, and explain to them that there is a group of people inside already who are helping us continue being the #1 country in the world. So thanks again. We're here to help you. and to join you in this common fight of fixing our immigration system and bringing dignity to those people who live among us, who are helping us. That's the Christian thing to do. That's the right thing to do. That's the Republican thing to do. Thank you. They want me to say, do you think I'm really going to remember all that in Spanish?
1 minute.
In Spanish? Yeah. All right, en español. Right. No, I should have done it. All right, 1 minuto. She's staying in Spanish. Where's Spanish here? Where's Spanish television? Right there. Okay, so. Estamos aquí en el Capitolio para recordarle a la administración que nosotros representamos orgullosamente, de que este es el momento que ha llegado de darle dignidad a aquellos que viven en los Estados Unidos. Estamos hablando de esa gente que lleva más de 5 años, esa gente que tiene hijos americanos, la gente que ha pagado impuestos, la gente que está haciendo los trabajos de una manera silenciosa que nadie más hace, que llevan años en los Estados Unidos ayudando en construcción, hospitality and agriculture, agricultura y en los hoteles. Esas son la gente que se merece ahora, cuando ya esa frontera se cerró, se merece que salgan de la oscuridad y darle dignidad. Dignidad para que sigan viviendo de una manera digna en la tierra prometida. Yo voy a presentar una legislación, una ley que se llama la Ley Dignidad. Y necesito que todo el mundo me ayude porque sola no lo puedo hacer, por eso tenemos a los republicanos y a los demócratas, para poder luchar juntos y hacer que este país arregle su problema migratorio de una vez y para siempre. El presidente Trump es el que lo puede hacer. Lo hizo en Ucrania, lo hizo con Rusia, lo hizo en el Medio Oriente, lo hizo con los Houthis y ahora lo va a hacer internamente con inmigración. Muchas gracias por su ayuda.
And thank you, Mr. Isaacson. And now for your testimony, I now recognize myself for 5 minutes of questioning. And I am delighted to hear, Mr. Isaacson, that you believe certain quotes here that INL needs to be modernized, needs to be reformed, and that maybe they are just following some of the precepts of the 1980s. But specifically, I agree that they are not, that they need to be reorganized and there needs to be some revamped. But let's go to the last 4 years. Do you really believe that talking to the Guatemalans and to the Salvadorians about gender ideology or the pronouns or how you can, there are many genders, do you really think that talking to them was going to make the United States and themselves safer? Safer? I mean, you were going to keep people home? So explain how one thing comes to link to the other.
I would like to know what percentage of the program actually was about gender and identity and things like that. If it's, we don't have that data.
Focus, the main focus. The Guatemalans were complaining.
In terms of dollar amounts?
And of course, and in terms of political willingness and desire to infiltrate these forces with our ideology, the American Biden administration ideology. Don't you think that we did a disservice to them and to us?
If you're fighting human trafficking, where most victims are women,
yeah,
you need
how can you be
more
talking about
focus.
sex
If
when you're trying to fight
gender-based
human
violence,
trafficking? How do
that's
you do
true.
that?
I just need to know, how much of the programming really did go in that direction instead of like Joint Task Force Alpha in Guatemala, which was fighting human smugglers.
The Guatemalans, perfect example. They hated a lady by the name of Consuelo Porras. Do I know her? No, I don't. But I know that she's the AG of the country, so why don't we work with her? Oh, because she's too conservative. Who are we to say that to the Guatemalans? Why?
I don't know if Consuelo Porras is
no,
hated.
it's everything I'm saying is quoted. Consuelo Porras is detested.
Oh, I think she is detested.
It was okay. Yeah. Well, but who are we, the Americans, to come and say, oh, Consuelo is not the person that you need to work with? She's the AG.
I've never heard that she was held at arm's length because she favored free markets or
she was too conservative.
Because she was conservative, because of significant corruption, according to what I saw.
You know what I'm telling you. So please help me understand why the Biden administration wanted to concentrate its resources when it talks to reforming and securing the Salvadorian Guatemalan police, concentrated on something that had nothing to do with national security for the United States.
My impression was that INL and the Justice Department worked very hard with, not with Consuelo, but with the rest of the public ministry in Guatemala on something called Joint Task Force Alpha, which was a big effort to get at the nodes of the network of migrant smuggling. And they've actually taken out a lot of migrant smugglers, working with the Attorney General's office in Guatemala in the last few years. And the Trump administration is expanding
did
that.
you know this? Would give money to the NGOs in Guatemala to help the migrants have a smoother ride while they were going through Guatemala and getting to Mexico.
I think that would have been illegal in Guatemala, where they actually arrest and deport more than 20,000, 30,000 migrants a year back into Honduras.
9 million went through it. All right.
Yeah, a lot do get through.
Let's go to El Salvador. Bukele, what do you think? What ranking do you give to Bukele from 1 to 10?
I would give him a 4, perhaps. I think he's a brilliant communicator, but I do worry about checks and balances.
What about the communicator? What has he done with the country?
He has put 3% of the male population in prison, which, yeah, by doing so, did eradicate, for now, a lot of the gangs.
And you and I agreed that if there is one innocent guy in the Sicot, I was the first one who told him, you got to get him out, because we don't want innocent people in jail. But the thing is that, Sicot is full of people who are full of tattoos that are revealing who they were and what they did. Each drop meant one murder. So do you think he did something right?
If these people were facing judges, and if their families knew what was going on with them, it would be right. But right now, almost everybody there is pretrial, and there's not even dates for most of their trials. So yeah, they need a fair shake. I mean, it was right to clean out the streets.
I agree with you that everyone needs due process. Yes, sir.
And that's just not happening right now.
All right, but what about us working with him? And maybe if INL would have done its job, then Bukele would have been able to really help. We would help him to do a better job, don't you think? Talking about diversity and inclusion and pronouns.
I think one of INL's biggest obstacles actually there is, and I actually support it, is language that both Republicans and Democrats put in the foreign aid bill, saying that half of aid, I believe it's half, to El Salvador is cut until they can certify that the human rights situation is good and is improving. And right now, more than 300 people dying in the jails in the last 3 years, and widespread allegations of torture. It's been hard to certify that.
What happens to the human rights of the people who were outside being killed by those gang members, which is why he got 90% of transparent and internationally observed elections. We agree with that,
right? Yeah, if I was a shopkeeper being extorted.
The Salvadorians love the guy, so why do we have to hate him? Who are we to say to this guy, don't do it that way?
I think we're just worried about what it's going to look like in 5 years. But yeah, right now, if I'm a shopkeeper who had to pay...
Don't you think that they should be concerned about what they're going to be looking like 5 years from now? That's their concern, not ours. We're here to help them have a better police force. All right? Do you agree with that, right?
We're certainly here to help them have a better police force, but we don't want to be funding abuses in the short term.
I think that I'm exceeding my time. I yield back. Now I'm going to recognize the ranking member for 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. And the subcommittee on the Western Hemisphere will come to order. The purpose of this hearing is to discuss the Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement for the purposes of the subcommittee's reauthorization of J family programming at the State Department. Now I'm going to recognize myself for an opening statement. And once again, thank you to the witnesses for coming and giving us your time and your expertise. Always welcome. So the Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs, INL, acronym, the motto is security through justice. But unfortunately, for the last 4 years, they have been more interested in security through ideology, trading fight against narcotics for seminars to teach pronouns, and workshops on gender diversity. I believe that the result of this alien ideology has been damaging to our national security, especially in a region which is very close to my heart, Central America. As some of you know, I was the Central American Bureau Chief for Univision Network during the Civil War in El Salvador. I lived in that country for many years until 1992 when they signed a peace treaty. Central America, don't I know it, has suffered for decades, and this was the perfect time to help them. Let's go to Guatemala. Almost 9 million migrants passed through their territory trying to come to the United States in the last 4 years. The Guatemalans needed INL's assistance to tackle that human trafficking and narcotics. But unfortunately, the Biden administration refused to work with the Attorney General of that country because apparently she was too conservative. They sanctioned her. Her name is Consuelo Porras. I don't know her, but I do know that she is the head of Ministerio Público, which is for us, the United States, the Attorney General. Unfortunately, the previous administration refused to work with her. I believe that if the Guatemalans put her there, the Biden's bureaucrats don't have any business in telling her that she was not fit for the job. And they attacked her over and over again. This is the perfect definition of putting politics and ideology before safety and respect for our neighbors' political views. If the Guatemalans are conservative, well, so be it. We got to respect it. Let's talk now about El Salvador, the country which has been tackling a terrible gang problems for 30 years. I was about to be killed in few instances. I lived it, I know it. And things were terrible in El Salvador until President Bukele arrived in the picture. El Salvador should have been a perfect partner for the INL Bureau, which, by the way, it says that its mandate is to bring down transnational criminal organizations like MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. But instead of training the Salvadorian police forces, INL, Law Enforcement Academy, taught gender and inclusion as one of their main goals for El Salvador. I'm sure that at that moment, the Salvadorians were going to be saying the gringos have gone crazy. I am no law enforcement expert, but I am fairly confident that getting MS-13 to learn how to pronounce correctly pronouns is not going to dissuade them from committing any crimes. I am a witness. I have spoken to him that Bukele wants to work with the United States, but instead the Biden administration cut funds to the Salvadorian police by 50%. Why? And INL concentrated its budget for El Salvador to give it to NGOs that attack his security plan. With or without us, Bukele was successful. His strategy reduced one of the world's highest homicide rates to nearly zero. He presented this strategy to INL, and they said, no, we're not going to work with you. During the last 4 years, unfortunately, woke ideology has replaced common sense, but thankfully, things have changed under President Trump, and we're going to return the Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs to its original mission, which is helping our allies fight crime, dismantling gangs, restoring law and order. They have a budget of $2 billion a year, and I think we owe it to the American taxpayers to commit and reestablish their mandate, finding drugs, stopping human trafficking, training police forces worldwide with American-made weapons bought by our allies. INL is one of the best tools we have as Americans to create a safer, stronger, and more prosperous country while helping our neighbors to do the same, whether it's in Central America or anywhere else in the world. I believe that we are still, the United States, we're the point of reference for the rest of the hemisphere, at least when it comes to good governance, the beacon of hope, that there is a political system that respects human dignity. Thank God we're back on the right side of history. I yield back. And now I recognize my dear ranking member, the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Castro, for any statements he may have.
Identify yourself. Colorado Public Radio. Thank you all for doing this. I'm curious, some of the Republican caucus, there are some people in your caucus that run away from anything that sounds like amnesty, and I think that anybody can cross the border, whether it be in the 90s or 90 days ago. How are you trying to change the conversation in your caucus to make some of these bills more palatable?
What is amnesty? Amnesty is what the undocumented have right now. Amnesty is free roads, free schools, and free hospitals. We don't want amnesty, we want dignity. We're going to go from amnesty to dignity. Dignity, they will have to pay a fine, they will have to pay to stay, and they will then be able to enjoy the American dream while they're giving to us what we need: agricultural, secure workforce in 3 main industries. To start off with, agricultural, construction, and hospitality.
we don't have those hands in those three sectors, we're not going to have food by Friday, and we may not, the economy may not grow. I don't have to explain it. So it's not amnesty, it's dignity. It's time to change that word. That word doesn't mean anything. They will have to pay for the violation they committed in coming in illegally. But someone gave them a job, someone made them stay, and someone profited from their labor. So if let's have a level playing field, and that's why I'm talking about amnesty. I mean, the dignity, not amnesty. Thank you. Yeah.
And you know, you're not going to convince everybody in the Republican Party. You're not going to convince everybody in the Democratic Party. That's why you need people to work together to build this coalition of people that believe in common sense solutions to the problems that we face. That's why we're working so hard. Now, it's not easy. It's taken 30 years for us to do it. But I think the moment is right now for us to find that common ground to move forward.
Yes, thanks to you, Mr. Malinowski, Congressman, and I now recognize myself for 5 minutes of questioning. It's fascinating, everything I hear from three of you. We all agree, I think, that we want to continue being the shining city on the hill, that we are the only game in town because the Russians and the Iranians and the Chinese are really not going to promote anything close to democracy or freedom. So I'm going to start with you, Mr. Destro, and I think that your statement was highly enlightening. So when you say that we got to ask ourselves hard questions, that the title of the hearing is not necessarily what we need to be looking at. We agreed that we want some return on our investment, that we want to promote democracy. That's what we're here for. And it's a little bit disturbing to hear that we've spent so much and the return has been so little. So just give me an example of in the last, let's say in the last 4 years or in the last 10 years, what have we done wrong? What did we do wrong in the last 4 years with Biden? I'm sure that there were some monies going to good programs, but you know, perception is reality. And when we hear that there's going to be $12 million for the Guatemalans, for the native Guatemalans to have a sex change operation, you know, that doesn't really sound really good. So what did we do wrong in the last 4 years, and what did we do wrong in the last 10 years? Put it into perspective for us, please.
Well, with respect, I think that's a bit of the wrong question. I think the question is, what are we doing right? Okay, so then tell me which one is the right question. What are we doing right? And
what are we doing right?
Yeah, what are we doing right?
Okay.
Okay, and you know, Congressman Malinowski and I talked about this when I was in office, and this question of, as the DRL Assistant Secretary, you have 1.5 billion tools at your disposal in the ESF and Human Rights Fund. You also have $40 billion worth of really committed professional people working with you on those projects. And so the question becomes, where's the best place to put them? Now, all of those places that you just talked about, the sex change operations, everything else, that's not the best way to put it. It doesn't really advance our foreign policy.
Correct. So you agree that we need to change that vision?
I do.
Leave wokeness and go back to democracy.
I think we need to foster freedom, right?
Right.
And that's why I use Belize as the example. Here is a great small country they're trying to figure out, should we keep the king? Should we stay in the Caribbean Court of Justice? Should we revise our Constitution? You know, and where's our embassy? Nowhere, right? Where's Millennium Challenge? Pushing that same agenda you just talked about.
So this reorganization of the State Department that you just mentioned under Marco Rubio now, so if you were his advisor, what were the 3 things that you would tell him in order to have our return on investment to be really high?
Well, I think the first thing I would do is make sure, and this is one of the things that I tried to do as Assistant Secretary, is to make sure that the Assistant Secretary, who has statutory authority to maintain constant oversight of that funding, both humanitarian and
oversight.
Yeah, oversight.
Number 2.
Right? And we don't. And you know, and I know it's fair to say, well, what do you mean you don't? And I had to spend $1 million to put together a database to pull it all together. And
so oversight of where the money is going. That's
oversight
number
over
2?
where the money is going, who's spending it, and it doesn't matter whether it's in state or HHS, because there's human rights and humanitarian funding all over the government. And so the first thing would be, let's figure out where the money's going.
All right, so you're telling me that we do not know as a government where the money is going?
No, we don't.
Oh, well, we're only spending taxpayers' money, all right? So,
Right, and so, but that's your power of the purse. If you don't know, then you don't have any effective oversight.
you mean Congress, I'm sorry, or the State Department officials?
I'm talking about, this is a dual joint executive Congress thing. You have the power of the purse, and you have the right to see how the money's being spent, and you're not getting it. That's my point.
And then that would be the most important advice you would give to the Secretary of State.
Is make sure that there is at least one person, if not more, who has continuous oversight and can demand oversight of that money. And I can tell you stories, I won't bother to burden the record now, but I basically faced absolute insubordination when I tried to get that. And assistant secretaries really don't have the authority to take personnel actions like that, but the fact of the matter is that I was told I didn't have any right to see the money.
Thank you. I don't want to overextend to my time. So I now recognize Ranking Member Castro.
Thank you. I'd like to recognize the gentlewoman from Florida, Ms. Salazar, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and wonderful to be here with you, Mrs. Gacke. I'm Maria Salazar from Florida, 27th District, representing the city of Miami. And I'm sure that you're familiar that there's a lot of business between Miami and the regime in the island of Cuba. And we have discovered that 11 companies in my district who are blatantly, openly breaking the Cuban embargo, an embargo. These companies are doing business with the Cuban regime, giving them oxygen so they can feed the repressive apparatus. And I just sent a letter to the Secretary of the Treasury and to the Mr. Rubio, Department of State, asking them to investigate and to shut them down. And I wanted to ask you to please help us and stop this madness. Because you cannot be taking money from Miami and from the Cuban exile community and be sending it to the Cuban regime to beat on the people that are trying to be free. So do you think I could have your word for you to be able to help me and your office to do something with this? I mean, I'm going to be forwarding to you the letter, but I really would like your commitment on the record.
Thank you, Representative Salazar. And I, for many years, FinCEN, so I'm very familiar with our restrictions on dealing with the Cuban regime. So I commit to you that FinCEN will certainly take a look at this information and see how we can support investigations, whether at OFAC or other parts of the U.S. government.
They are violating the embargo. You cannot do that because that's the United States law. Okay, now, another issue that is highly concerning to me as a United States citizen and as the representative of the city of Miami. Back in June, your office put on the blacklist 3 Mexican banks. One of the banks is called Cibanco. This is a very touchy subject because I'm concerned not so much about Cibanco, but about the American banking system. There has been no proof shown of money laundering from those people. I have met I'm not saying that there is, but they have been asking for proof, and your office has not shown why these people need to be on that list. The owner lost the bank, $400 million, just because we, the Americans, put him on the blacklist. You know, we have a lot of weight internationally. In our system, we are innocent until proven guilty. Aren't you concerned? I mean, I'm terrified that this could happen to any bank in my district or any bank in the United States. So please tell me, and don't tell me this is under investigation, we cannot talk about it.
Thank you, Representative Salazar. I stand by FinCEN's actions against the 3 financial institutions, Cibanco, Intercam, and Vector. We made very detailed public cases in orders issued under authority given to us by Congress.
I know you're doing your job. I know that you have to look for the bad guys, but my concern is that you could have made a mistake that could be repeated, and that is not the American way of doing business.
I understand.
Simple terms.
I understand.
How come there's no proof that you insisted on keeping that bank, and I have no interest in the bank, but it's just the principle.
We followed the law set forth in the Fentanyl Sanctions Act, as amending the Fentanyl Sanctions Act, and found a basis on which to call these three financial institutions of primary money laundering concern. We worked
Why didn't you show the proof?
We publicly issued it in orders when we issued these orders, and be happy to share them with you.
I read them. They are not, it is not enough. And you know that. So what I'm saying is that how can we, in the banking system, make sure that we are not going to have a little bank be put on the blacklist and then the owner of that bank lose their assets and their own and the bank?
Now, I want to clarify that this authority is only targeted at, can only be used against foreign sources of money laundering, they're called primary money laundering concerned, whether they're jurisdictions, classes of transactions, or primary money laundering concern. But I respectfully disagree. I believe we have made the necessary legal cases.
I understand what you're saying, but I think the
these
message I need to send as the chairman of the Western Hemisphere Subcommittee within the House
Gentlelady's
Foreign
time is
Affairs Committee
expired.
is that we, the Americans, we carry a lot of weight, and we need to be more careful because our reputation
Gentlelady's
is
time
that.
is expired.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Madam.
The gentleman